Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Corner podcast for another episode we have prior to the 2026 season. Today we've got a very special one. We are doing the rankings of each line and who we predict to be the guys that will finish with the highest average in each line: defense, mid, ruck, and forward. As you can probably tell, I am doing a solo pod today. Sadly, Das can't join me on this one, but I do have his rankings, so I'll provide you his thoughts on these as well. Before we get stuck into the rankings, make sure you're following us on all our socials. We post a lot of content. There was a post that just went out today. We're recording on the Wednesday before round one. About Goulden versus Walsh, which we will touch on in this video as well. But yeah, make sure there's going to be a lot more of that to come throughout the year. So make sure you're following our page for that. Hit the subscribe button. It's free to do. Just helps us out, helps us know that you're enjoying the content. Drop any comments. We'll read and reply to all comments as well. And yeah, make sure you join the Unlimited League 728-323. Round one starts tomorrow night, so don't miss out on that one. Let's get straight into it then, and we'll start with the defense. Now, the way this will work, we're both ranked top 8 in each line. We didn't see each other's rankings prior to me starting this recording. I've obviously seen Darcy's because I need to read his out. But I'm going to label off a few other options that haven't made the top 8 or top 10 in the midfield. That we still see as good options, but we see a few guys maybe just ahead of them. So in the defense, we'll start with Bailey Dale. Most of the ones that aren't in the top rankings we'll just touch on slightly as well. So yeah, Bailey Dale is the first one we'll touch on. Looks like he's got an injury to start the year. I think it's going to affect him for a fair few weeks. That's going to bring down his average. So that's probably why he's just slipped out of my top 8. And I'd say Das would be the same. And now with Connor Butterick down there, it looks like he's really going to shine for the Dogs there. So he might take a bit of ball off him. Tom McCarthy's another one who's there. It looks like he's transitioning into the midfield. And in the preseason vision that you're seeing, it looks like he's a 150-plus game midfielder, but he's not. He's only played 11, 12 games at the AFL level as a half-back with a few games in the midfield. So I don't see him pushing into that top echelon of defenders, but he's still a good option. And Nick Blakey's probably the other one I see as a decent option as well. Looks like all their ball from Sydney is going to go through Nick Blakey, and that's how they're going to push forward through him. So, yeah, it looks like he's going to provide that great dash for Sydney off the back line, especially because Sydney are probably going to be up that pointy end of the season. So, yeah, I really like the Nick Blakey pick. A few premiums we might see as a bit of a trap, or not a trap, because they're still decent options, but it's just best to avoid them just because there's a bit too much risk involved. Trent Rivers is one. Yes, he's moving into the midfield. He's got a decent price about him for the role you're going to get, but I don't see him pushing into the top echelon of defenders. If you only want him to make that 100K, I do see him doing that. It just might be over a longer duration. Same can be said about Miles Bergman. Das is really hot on Bergman, but I see him playing that very defensive mind midfield role and selfless role to let Horn Francis and Butters and all of them really reap the rewards. So I believe he's going to be a bit more of a trap this year. Maybe give him a year in the midfield, and then we can look at him. Look, if it changes, we're happy to jump on these guys throughout the year and be proven wrong. So yeah, I do like that. Matt Roberts scored really well on the weekend, just gone in round 0. But yeah, it's definitely a trap. Nick Blakey's their main guy, and they've also got Callum Mills, who we will get to soon. Dan Houston, I think it's just easier to avoid him. If Josh Dacos moved into the midfield, I almost have Houston in my rankings. But the fact we've seen a proper game in round 0 and Josh Dacos didn't play any midfield, he had 2 CBAs. Yes, the ball still went through Houston and he looked really good, but most of the play is going through Josh Dacos off that half back. So I'm happy to avoid Houston on this one. Sicily, on the other hand, looked really, really good over the weekend as well. Looked like he was back to his best that we've seen in SuperCoach seasons gone by, but it's too risky. You can't bank on the fact that he's just going to have that role every week. We saw last year Sam Mitchell just threw him around countlessly. It's just easier to avoid Sicily. You don't want to have that swing where he goes forward and then he drops you a 60. But he's, provided some good presence, I guess, up forward for Hawthorn from an AFL point of view, but it's not good for a Supercoach point of view. So definitely avoid the Sicily pick. And Tom Stewart. I think there's a lot more ball to go around in that back line now with Tanner Bruin there, Lawson Humphreys, really coming of age now and being trusted with the ball more. Connor O'Sullivan's there and developing, sort of going to be the next Tom Stewart, I see. A lot of ball's going to be taken off Stewart, especially with the fact that he's injury risk every week. So it's easier to avoid that and don't have to worry there. Now let's get into the rankings. I'm going to give you Darcy's as I go, but any that Darcy has and I have, I will touch in depth on the ones that I have. We'll start with 8th. Darcy has Josh Dacos. I also have Josh Dacos at number 8. Just everything seems to go through him still. If he moves to the midfield, then I don't think it's going to hurt him that much, but it won't elevate him without, training a lot there and doing a whole preseason through the midfield. I don't think it's really going to take him up to that top echelon. I feel like the scoring is just going to be pretty consistent with what I'm seeing from a halfback point of view. So, that's why I guess we both have him at 8th. If he moves into the midfield, like I said, I like the Houston pick more, but Josh Dacos should be very good there. At 7, Darcy has Mills. I don't have Mills in my rankings, so Sydney will be good, and he's a great distributor. He had a bad disposal efficiency in round 0, which is unlike Mills. We know that he's a really good user. We know in years gone by, he's been a Supercoach pig, even dropped that 200 plus a few years ago. So in one game, he's like the leader of the club. They're going to be really up that pointy end. So I see Mills really being a great Supercoach option this year. He's only just missed out in my ranking. I'd have him at 9th at this point. But my 7, I have Dane Zorko. I feel like he just showed in round 0, it's not the year that he's going to drop off. And it might be this is his last year that he really gives it a go before handing over the reins to your Kitty Coleman and Jasper Fletcher. Everything coming out of the backline went through Zorko. If he wasn't taking the kick in, it was going straight to Zorko for him to distribute up the ground further. And it looked really classy. We know he's a great ball user. He's a great kick of the footy. So just racks it up for fun in a non-contact role. That's why he didn't cop an injury, even though he is maybe 65 years old. So we don't know. Someone check his birth certificate. But I think he's just going to be good enough to be in that top 8. So I have him there. Darcy's number 6 is Ash. My number 6 is Jordan Clark. He's just uber consistent. And I just don't see that slowing down this year. He just kept pumping out 100s to start the year last year. Even towards the back end of the year, he was really putting up the bigger scores of 120, 140. So really do like what I'm seeing there. And I think he's going to take more of the kick-in reins. The only other guy that was sort of taking more kick-ins than him was Luke Ryan. And Luke Ryan seems to be even out of favour at this point. We will see when teams drop for round 1 if he is selected. But the talks in preseason seem like Luke Ryan's out of favour. So that probably means that Jordan Clark will take more kick-ins, or the kick-ins will go straight to Jordan Clark so he can distribute up the field. So I really like the Clark pick. And saying that, Darcy had Clark at number 5. Number 5 for me, I had Whitfield. He takes the majority of the kick-ins. Last year, there was only the odd occasion where Ash took more than him. And we know that Whitfield is just SuperCoach gold. He just every year seems to pump out 100+ average with ease. And yeah, it's a great ride to be on, especially when he's doing it. With the emergence of Ash, I see him falling off slightly. Obviously, fifth isn't much of a fall off, but I think there's a real separation between the top 6 and further down. I couldn't really pick the 7 and 8. But yeah, I see Whitfield have that upside more over Jordan Clark at this point in time. Yeah, he's just elite with his ball use. And the way GWS play, they like to chip it around the back line until they get that play, and it's through Whitfield and Ash where they really take on that damaging kick. So, yeah, I really like that. Saying that, Darcy had Whitfield at number 4. I have Ash at number 4. I think just being the younger player, Whitfield getting on with age a little bit, GWS are going to start handing over the reins to Ash and maybe more of the kick-ins. We saw on a few occasions, Ash got more kick-ins than Whitfield, and he provides a bit more of that run and carry through, that GWS backline over Whitfield at this point. Like he's a bit more damaging with his run. So I really like how Ash goes about it, and they definitely will persist with that. I just see Ash taking his game to a next level and edging ahead of Whitfield at this point. So yeah, that's why I got him at 4. Then we go into the top 3 defenders. At 3, I had Rosie. Has an average of, he moved into that backline halfback role, which we did see in his draft year a lot. That's why he was drafted. Port used him up forward to start his career, and then put him through the midfield, which we have seen in previous years. And then last year was the real time that he got moved back to his original position of halfback and dominated. He averaged 115 across the whole year when he went under 50% CBAs. That was across 11 games as well. So it's a very big sample size there. Throw in the fact that this preseason, he looks like he's going through that the halfback role again. And I just love the fact that he's trained there another preseason, and the play, like he's clear out and above the halfback distributor for Port. The only thing that scared me off a little bit is the fact that he had the most CBAs in the practice game when they took on West Coast. Is that because they had, a few injuries here and there? They were trialing things. I'm not sure. I think regardless if he goes in the midfield or off halfback, he's going to be a top 3 defender because, he's definitely clear above the others in terms of upside. Darcy had him at 3 as well. For number 2, I think it's no surprise that I have Nas at 2. I've been pretty hot on Sinclair being the beneficiary of Nas's move into the midfield, but that's nothing against Nas. He is a genuine freak. He could easily be D1. In the games where he got 50% or more CBAs last year, he averaged 119. That was across 6 games towards the back end of last year. And it was just phenomenal. We know that he's going to be a freak. He's already up there in talks of being one of the better players in the competition. So I feel like the fact that it showed on the weekend with when Harry Perryman ran with him that he can sort of be tagged a bit and his influence quelled a bit. I am a bit hesitant to put him at D1. And then Das has Sinclair at 2nd, which then means Das has Nas at 1, and I've got Sinclair at 1. No Nas to share the backline with, and like having to share all the possessions that come through their backline. We know that St Kilda like to chip it around, get the ball into Sinclair's hands, and he takes all the kick-ins. It's just his defense. Like he's now partner in crime at this point is Windhager, who hasn't done a lot of halfback play. So they're going to definitely trust Sinclair a lot more than going through Windhager. But with St Kilda's play style, that's why, both Sinclair and Nass were good last year off that halfback. It's just the way they play. They always have two guys that seem to score really well. So yeah, it's definitely Sinclair for me. That's probably it for the defense line. Pretty good rankings there. Let's move into the midfield. So this one, I'm going to try and keep it short. There's a lot of players to talk about. There's primos everywhere, and a lot of unlucky midfielders to miss the rankings here. So some guys that did miss the rankings, who are still great options. Lachie Neale, he's a pod at the moment. I was trying so hard to get him into my rankings. He's just slipped out. I reckon he's number 11 for me. Along with a lot of other guys, but he's a definite pod. He showed in that first round how good he is, even at his age of 32. Yes, he's had some off-season stuff happen, but the reports are sort of saying the fact that he can focus on his footy now, like his whole family's in WA. Yes, it's going to hurt him personally, but it means he can focus more time on his footy and the fitness, and really, the footy's going to take up his time more. So, yeah, I really like how Neale is looking this year. Played a great game in round 0 as well. So just tearing up preseason. Seems like this has been his best preseason so far. Matt Rowell, the Brownlow medalist, we both don't have him in the top 10. I think the new play is going to transition to more of a fast-paced game with less stoppages. So Matt Rowell is one that's a stoppage beast. I feel like he's definitely getting that accumulation side to his game going a bit better as well. So he's got that aspect, but I don't think he's got enough to push ahead of the 10 I have above. Zach Merritt, one that wants to put some more zeros on his contract next year at Hawthorn. And yeah, he's definitely a proud man. He's not going to just kick the can over and give up on Essendon because they didn't trade him. But he's definitely going to keep his season going and be uber consistent that we have seen every year for, I guess, the past decade that we have had Merritt available. Josh Dunkley, another great option. Brisbane being up that pointy end, they've got a lot of mouths to feed in that midfield. So it's kind of hard to pick which one is going to step their game up and be that number one guy for Brisbane. But yeah, so Dunkley's a good option. I don't see him being the best option in that side. Jordan Dawson, we know how good Jordan Dawson is. He's their main midfielder that you can trust is going to be in that midfield. But I don't see Adelaide being minor premiers again, and that definitely accumulates to some more scoring on your own side, and Dawson was the beneficiary of that. Max Holmes took his game to the next level last year, looked really, really good. I see him just missing out on the top 10 as well. He should be a very good player and develop his game further. Another preseason in the midfield. I don't mind that option. If he gets pretty cheap, it would definitely be one that I'd look at. Jai Caldwell, Dust's pretty hot on this one. Has missed both of our rankings, though. He averages 111 when he gets 60% or more CBAs, which is just ridiculous when you're buying a guy at 540K. And it looks like, Essendon might phase out Merritt out of their midfield. That's what we saw in the preseason. Caldwell's probably going to be the main guy alongside Parrish if they're going to persist with Parrish in the new style of play. Chad Warner, definitely going to be one that benefits from Sydney being good this year. He's definitely just going to continue his form. If he gets a lot more midfield time, he could easily push it into that top echelon of midfielders. and he's pretty cheap at 500k. It's just, they've got a lot of midfielders, top end midfielders in that Sydney midfield for sure. LDU is one picked for a breakout. This is going to be the don't pick him, and he's going to definitely break out. He will be carrying that North midfield alongside Sheasel. I think they'll work really well in tandem there. I just see him taking this game to the next level. He's still young. He's going to have a proper breakout year where he turns into an uber premium. That could easily be this year or next year. It's definitely not far away. So just needs to get that consistency back together. So, all together. Clary is another one. I've been very hot on Clary when Tom Green was fit. Look, I might have been a little bit one-eyed and just hoping I got the Clary of old because he was just Supercoach royalty back in the day. So now that Tom Green's gone down, he's just taken that Tom Green role. We saw it in round 0, dropped that 120 in round 0 as well. Just looked amazing. Looked really fit. The fittest he's been for the past couple of years. At 500k is really good buying. I just don't see him being into that top 10 come season end. I don't think we get the full Clary of old, but he's definitely going to be pushing up there with Finn Callahan in there. So, I do like the Clary pick. And the last one's John Newcomb. I feel like just being the only guy that's in Hawthorn's midfield has him up there for me. He's the only one that's going to be consistently getting midfield time. He needs to work on his own consistency in his game. I thought we might get that this year, but it showed in opening round. He dropped that 60 odd, which just, it could even be in the point where we just have to avoid him again. But if he gets stupidly cheap in the 400s, I think I'm going to be picking him up because we know at his best, he's just unstoppable. He's a bull in there. So really like that. A few players we're probably going to avoid going into the 2026 season. George Hewitt, there wasn't much chatter about him last year, which, is a bit... I mean, like he averaged ridiculous numbers last year. There was no talk about him because he's not a big name. He averaged 112 across the whole year at just super consistent games, just game after game. After not including round 1, he went on just a ridiculous stretch between round 2 and 10 of not dropping below 100. That even include a 171 against North Melbourne in there. Was just really consistent and just got the job done for Carlton. But because Carlton had Paddy Cripps and your Sam Walsh, there wasn't much talk about him. But I think it's just easier to avoid him, especially with Jagger Smith coming into the fold. They have to, maneuver some stuff around to get all their ducks in a row and all the midfielders going. For Carlton, Tom Liberatore, we've said it probably for the past couple of years. It's just avoid him because he's one concussion away of probably retiring. He's just had too many of them. And it looks like he's being phased out of this midfield for the next brigade coming through. Like Kennedy's getting a lot more midfield time. Ed Richards a mainstay now. There's a lot more guys that need to go through there. So it looks like Libba's going to be one that has to be faded out, but I just don't see him playing anywhere else on the field. They're going to try it. He might get moved back into a main midfield role and we could take the risk and pick him up. But it's got to be for a very good price. I'm not spending 600k on Libba at the moment. And then Will Ashcroft was one of the main CBA guys for Brisbane, but that was because McCluggage went down. McCluggage is out only for a few weeks. And yes, he's going to be the beneficiary then, but you've also got to have the scoring go around to Lockie Neal and Josh Dunkley. And then when McCluggage comes back, he's got to get in there. You've got Zach Bailey running through there. It's too hard to pick Will Ashcroft as a serious top-end midfielder. So, just maybe pass on him. And then the last one's Matt Kennedy. I did say that he was going to move into that midfield, which he has. But you got the Bont, Richards, Libber if he's going to stay in there, and Kennedy. They were sort of the main four that we saw in opening round. If Bont's going to stay up forward a lot more, which is like what we saw in that Brisbane game, then he's going to be a main midfielder, and I don't hate it as much. I think it's just too hard to pick. He's not as damaging as the other guys. Ed Richards looks like he's going to be the main guy going into 2026. But that's probably it for the guys that didn't make the top ranking. We're going a top 10 here. And I've kind of snuck my way into going 11. And you'll see why. my 10 or equal 10th, I couldn't split them, is Sam Walsh and Errol Goulden. We put a post out about it today. It's really, you got to be able to pick one that doesn't hurt your bias structure early on, and then you can target the other one later on. I think they're both going to be phenomenal options. Sam Walsh has not slipped below 100 average since his debut season, and he even showed his real potential of the 117 average across 22 games in 2021. Has had a lot of injuries since then, but the whole preseason of no injuries, looking fit as ever. Looks like he's really just going to break out this year and be a top line premium in my eyes. So I really like the Sam Walsh pick. And then Errol Goulden, since 2023, when he's been attending 40% or more CBAs, he averages 114. That's like top 10 midfielders of last year. And this looks to be his role moving forward. He had nearly 60% in the round zero game, and that's probably what's going to continue. It looks like Dean Cox is going to persist with that. He was just looked phenomenal. But yeah, in terms of starting team, he might hurt that round 3 bye because it's alongside Bulldogs and Gold Coast. So just keep an eye on that when you're looking to start him. But yeah, he looks unreal. Das at number 10 has Sarong. In 2023, he averaged 111. That was his breakout year. And in 2024, it was 116. Last year was only 106. But he got targeted a lot because he was noted as the more damaging midfielder. And that's why Brayshaw scored well and scored above Sarong. And he should be able to turn that around pretty easily, as Brayshaw looked really dominant, and looks like he's going to really benefit from the current way the AFL is played. So looks like more attention is going to go to Brayshaw. But I really like that. Let Strong run free, and I feel like he's going to bounce back this year. He's going to obviously work on his tags. Like when he was tagged, he was still putting out around 100 scores, 100 average. So it's not like he can't break a tag and still score well. Hugh McCluggage, I have at 9. Lions will probably be up the pointy end of the year. I know he's got a 13 in his average, so that probably doesn't help my ranking here, but I see him being the main guy for Brisbane. With Brisbane going to be up top, I picked him to put on a 3-peat. So Hugh McCluggage, it looked like he took his game to the next level last year. And yeah, I think that continues into 2026. Darcy has Callahan at 9. He's stepped up every year, like as the years have gone on, and last year was huge for him. He dropped multiple 130s, 140s last year, and he finished with an average of 112. He got tagged a lot too out of games. There was even a game of 50 in there to start the year, another 70. Yeah, but last year was his breakout year. He just looks so dominant. It looks like he's going to be the next guy that, the next Bont kind of guy, really, that just breaks open games, breaks lines, and is just really elite with his ball use. So I really like that Callahan pick. I'm pretty hot on Callahan as well. I don't have him in my top 10, though. I just couldn't find a way to fit him in. At number 8, I've got Bailey Smith. A lot of people aren't as hot on Bailey Smith because I think as soon as like SuperCoach has them eligible as a forward previous year and they dominate, then they go to midfield only. It's like, oh, no, I can't pick him anymore because he's midfield only. He's not as going to be as influential to the SuperCoach side. I disagree. It was the same with Isaac Heaney. He dominated last year still when he was pickable as a forward the year before, and everyone refused to pick Heaney last year, being a midfield only, and you would have definitely loved to have Heaney in your side. I think the same is going to be said about Bailey Smith. He was just so consistent. He's going to be Geelong's main guy. Yes, he's a bit pricey to start the year, and yes, he didn't start the year too well, but last year it was just consistent 100 pluses. It's the odd game he missed here and there, which was a little bit frustrating, but when he played, it was 120s, 130s just with ease. And I just feel like another year of that. I don't see why he regress from that. He finished the year as, I'm pretty sure, a top 5 midfield scorer. So, I don't see why he'd regress too much from that at all. Das has Goulden at 8. I know he's a bit more hot on Goulden over Walsh. I've just got Walsh on my side over Goulden just for the buys. I've got too many guys on that round 3 buy. At 7, I've got Brayshaw, and so does Darcy. He's an elite two-way runner, and he's just consistent. He's played 20-plus games and like a minimum of 20 games and had a minimum average of 107 or more over the last 5 years every year, which is just insane numbers. That's just shows his consistency. The way the game's going to move to more a transition style, I think Brayshaw's just going to run over everyone. So I really like that. And the fact he doesn't have the early buys, also another nice little bonus. We're both pretty hot on Brayshaw now. At 6, we both have Isaac Heaney as well. I've touched on the fact that he was so good last year, but Swans weren't good. Now, this year, everyone's tipping Swans, I certainly am, to be a top 3 sort of contending team. And it's going to come from the midfield. Yes, Goulden's going to be in there, but Heaney is the main guy. We saw in round 0, he even went off for a concussion assessment and, still finished with the most CBAs at the end of the game in round 0. So really like that. And yeah, he's just so damaging. The fact that Charlie Curno's there, he probably doesn't need to go as up forward as much. So it means we're going to get more Heaney time in the midfield where he just looks unreal. His disposal efficiency is so good. He's elite mark overhead. We know that he's damaging up forward, even if he does go up forward. So I really, really love that Heaney pick. At 5, I mean, it's pretty consistent here from me and Das, but we both have Noah Anderson. I don't see why he can't step up his game to the next level. He's going to lead this club. Everyone also has Gold Coast as a top 3, top 4 club as well. Being the leader of the club, I don't see why he can't do that. He's run off a few tags as well. Like he got tagged in round 0 pretty heavily by Mullen and O'Connor and still pulled out 100. So if that's his floor, geez, his ceiling's going to be astronomical. So, he's definitely going to lead this building Gold Coast side up to the top. At 4, we both have Ed Richards. I was almost going to put him at 3, believe it or not. He just looked incredible in round 0. Another preseason of him training in the midfield, and he looks to be the main guy for the Bulldogs now. Had the most CBA attendances or centre bounce attendances for the Bulldogs in that Brisbane Bulldogs game with 25, and just was everywhere. 7 clearances. I think he had 16 score involvements, 30 disposals, 2 goals. Just was everywhere. Just running all day. And I think this is really the year that Ed Richards could even go ahead of Bond. So a little spoiler, Bond is my number 3. So I'll talk about him a little bit in conjunction, but I almost see Ed Richards pushing ahead of Bont, which is a bit strange for me to say, thinking that the big three were never going to be touched for the next couple of years. But Bont's moved up forward a lot more. Not to say that he's not going to be so damaging up forward, because it's the Bont. Like, what else can you say? He's a freak. He's been Supercoach royalty for the last 5 years. Just always the top scorer. Just unreal. This guy, I feel like he's going to finish his career without a Brownlow medal, and it's going to hurt to see. He could be the greatest player to not win a Brownlow. But from the Supercoach side of things, whether he goes up forward or stays in the midfield, he's just so damaging that he's going to put points on the board. We know that Champion Data love giving him points for just breathing. So, yeah, I really, really am hot on the Bont, and someone that I need to target throughout the year as well. Das also has the Bont at 3. And number 2, I have Josh Dacos. Josh Dacos. That would be pretty funny. But Nick Dacos. He's just a massive accumulator of the ball. I find it really hard to rank number 1 and 2. Just Dacos is going to take his game to another level. I don't even know if he can do that, to be honest. But 41 disposals on the weekend against St Kilda for 117 Supercoach is just phenomenal. He was just going all day, up and down the ground, so quick as well. Really good player for this style of AFL, like where it's running to at the moment. I just think he's going to be unstoppable this year. He's worked on fighting off a tag as well. So, yeah, I really like the Nick Dacos pick, and he's someone that you have to target if you don't start him. I'm a bit nervous, the fact that I'm not currently starting him, and he's in 58% of sides. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a shaky one when I come up against him in leagues. Das has Butters at number 2, which would then mean that I have Butters at number 1 and Darcy has Dacos at number 1. I just think Butters in a contract year, he finished the year as the second highest average last year. In a contract year, he's going to want to put as many dollars on his contract as he can, whether that's at Port or he comes back to Victoria. I don't think it's going to matter. He just wants more money on his contract. He's an elite 2-way runner. He'll go all day, and it's his midfield, especially if Rosie goes down half back. They're just going to let him go. Like, Butters is just so damaging. Even if Rosie goes in there, it could even help Butters more and provide more support to Butters. So the only thing that could hinder Butters is the fact that maybe Port aren't going to be too relevant this year in terms of really contending for a flag. So that's less points to go on Port's side. But, yeah, I really like what I'm seeing from Butters, and I feel like he's going to really just have a phenomenal year and finish as number 1. That's a really long segment on the midfield. Let's move to the rucks, which we spoke about in depth in our ruck podcast. So I'm only going to touch on them briefly. And I'll pretty much just give the rankings, to be honest. Das had Gawn at 3. Really like the Gawn pick. I think he scores a lot from being around the ground. So it's not going to hurt. The new ruck rules won't hurt him too much. Luke Jackson I had at 3. I feel like if he's not going to be the main ruck, which we don't suspect he will be, he'll just play on ball and he'll be really good there. And then Das and I had the same rank for 1 and 2. At number 2, we both had Tim English. Just looks like he's probably going to get back to that 2023 best, if not really close to, because it was pretty hard to top 2023 average for Tim English. And yeah, the fact that the wrestling's sort of been taken out of the ruck, which came into fashion the last 2 years, it's gone back to that tap ruck and the more transition game. Tim English was a on-baller before he shot up like 6 foot, shot up 6 inches and just somehow became a ruckman. So he pretty much just plays as another on-baller for Bulldogs. And then Grundy. We're both pretty hot on Grundy, continuing his form from the back end of last year. Maybe not to those heights because they were some pretty lofty heights. They're averaging about 140 in the run home is just astronomical numbers. But it looks like it might continue with what we saw against Carlton. Only needed the 16 touches, and we know he can accumulate the pill too to pull out his really good Supercoach score we saw. Yeah, outside of that, Cameron and Cherry are probably some other good rucks that you could look at. I think Cherry's probably a bit overpriced for what you might get with the current ruck rules. And Darcy Cameron's definitely not a bad option. He's a good pod option. He should be up there with the top rucks. Everyone else is probably best to avoid. Let's move to the forward line, where it's this. I found this one pretty hard. It was like easy to pick the top 6, and then I couldn't pick after that really. So, yeah, I couldn't fit the last 2 in at least. So, we'll talk about some other decent options. You got Sam Draper. It's all but confirmed that he's playing this week. We'll see when teams do drop. Looks like he's going to debut for Brisbane this week. And yeah, if he's going to get that number 1 ruck, he's going to be a great forward option, but you can afford to wait and see, especially while he's coming back from his injury. Maybe he might take a few games to get going. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on. I feel like he's going to provide some really good scoring if he's the main ruckman there, eligible as a forward. So love that. Dylan Moore, I think he's just going to play that half forward role with a pinch hit in the midfield, which we have seen previously. I don't see him elevating his game too much, but I don't see him dying off at all. So he should maintain around where you have seen him for the past couple of years. Connor McDonald, on the other hand, he's going to play a similar role, maybe with a bit more midfield time. He did a lot of preseason through the midfield. I know that Sam Mitchell has stated that he's going to be playing predominantly up forward, but yeah, we saw in that opening round, he was one of the top midfield centre bounce attendances. So do like that from Connor McDonald. I feel like he could be up there as well. Jordan Ngoe, if he's going to get midfield time, looks like they were managing him a bit, but when he was on the ground, he looked the fittest he has been and was really damaging around the goals. I just need to see more midfield time to be able to pick him. Josh Rochelle looks like he's going to take maybe that Rankin mold, or maybe they're trying to build 2 of them, 2 Rankins of like pinch hitting in the midfield, maybe getting 40%, 30% CBAs and being that damage high half forward because he's getting a bit more time in that midfield. And Connor Butterick, I actually have as guy that could push to be a top forward. I don't think he's going to make the rankings, but if he turns out to be the main distributor for the Dogs, there's no reason why he couldn't be. I just do see Bailey Dale. It's like unlikely that he becomes the main distributor, but I just want to say if he does, it's there. I've got receipts for it. So, yeah, I think it's pretty easy to see, though. If you are the main distributor, yeah, you provide some really good scoring coming out of that back line. So, yeah, he's pickable as a forward and very cheap. So he should be locked in your side as well to start the year. Some premiums to probably avoid. Might be a bit of a trap. Bailey Humphrey I've got here. I feel like he's just going to play more of that forward role. We know he played really well in that opening round game, but he had to kick 4 goals to do it. So, yeah, he's not getting as much midfield time as we want to be able to pick Bailey Humphrey. So it's probably an easy avoid there. Jeremy Cameron still coming back from that broken arm. And yeah, I think you might be able to, you don't really pick key forwards. It's hard to pick key forwards in SuperCoach. So it's probably just easier to avoid them altogether. Yeah, so avoid Jeremy Cameron. Graham Myers, I don't think you're going to get much more. I don't think he's going to probably reach the lofty standards he did last year either. Finishes the 7th highest average for 2025. And, if he can replicate that again, that's great, but I don't see him doing that. Jake Riccardi, there's a bit of talk about, yeah, he dropped 111 in that opening round, but he's just playing that second ruck and kicked a few goals to do it, had 17 touches. Yes, he's going to be very good, but it's too high of a price to pay to start him in your side, and because it could backfire pretty easily. But yeah, he should provide some decent scores. Adam Treloar under that injury cloud and looks to be pushed out of that midfield altogether. Has to make his way through the VFL at this point. So yeah, it's a pretty hard side to knock into. And if he does, it's just going to be off half forward. So we don't like that role. Similar can be said in terms of the role for Shea Bolton and Murphy Reid in that Freo forward line. Yeah, I think it's just they're not getting enough midfield time as we hoped to be able to pick them and see them push to be top forwards. And Joel Frazier, there was a lot of talk about him possibly going 60 to 70% CBAs. We've had a game in round 0 and he's nowhere near it, to be honest. He's 5th in line, obviously behind Kennedy, Richards, Libba, Bond. He only had 10 centre bounce attendances, whereas Lachie Neale and the likes up in that game had 31. So yeah, he definitely wasn't in the top end of that. Once we see him attending a lot more centre bounces, we should then go and pick him. But yeah, I'm not picking the high half forward pinch hit in the midfield role, unless they're proven scorers, which we will get to shortly. Let's get into the rankings, and we'll start with number 8 as always. I've got Zach Bailey here. I was to and fro in between the guy that Darcy's got at number 8 and Zach Bailey. I just lean Zach Bailey because a contract year. In a contract year, they want to try and perform their best so then they can get paid more, realistically. And they'll move him into the midfield. I feel like he's going to be that 5th on baller behind the main 4. And Levi Ashcroft's not going to be as much. I think it's just going to be Dunkley, McCluggage, Neale, and Will Ashcroft with Zach Bailey close behind, because he provides that good dash with that 30 to 40% CBAs and is a good high half forward. Contract year, they want to get him more midfield time, so then they can get more for him if he chooses to move. So definitely liking what I'm seeing there. I just need to see it consistently before I go there. Darcy has Toby Green at 8. He's moved into the midfield, which we do like, but he's getting on a bit with age. I do think he's going to be a good option. If we don't get any DPPs coming in at round 6, he's definitely one that we all have to consider, provided he's scoring well still. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how that unfolds. At number 7, I've got Thilthorpe. The pinch hit and the ruck is nice. He's just so good last year to put up really big numbers. I know we stay away from key forwards, but looks like Thilthorpe and Darcy, who we'll get to in a second, are a little bit different. They really push up the ground a lot more, get involved, even if they are that ruck. So yeah, he's posted some big scores last year and didn't have to kick a bag to do it. So I do like that. Darcy has Rankin at 7. Which I do like as well. I've got Sam Darcy at 6, and so does Darcy. Darcy has Darcy at 6. Similar to Thilthorpe, pinch hits in the rucks and just clunks everything. He's looks unreal. He's a bit of that, that unicorn people are calling him. Just different and pushes up the ground. It really gets involved in the play. So I do like what I'm seeing there from Sam Darcy, especially with the Dogs being up that pointy end of the ladder. In my eyes, then yeah, he's definitely going to reap the rewards from that. At 5, I've got Rankin. The role just works for him. If you want to see someone that is 30 to 40% CBAs and damaging as a high half forward, it's Isaac Rankin. He did it all last year. He even got a few games where he got to 50% CBAs, maybe even 60 in a few occasions. And that's what we like. We like players around the ball. So I like the Rankin pick. Obviously, he's suspended for that first round, but yeah, the role just works for him. And love his hands around the footy. It's just a great option. He's definitely one I'm going to target as a forward option. Das has Thilthorpe at 5. So, yeah, we've already touched on him. And then the top 4, I think it's pretty easy to note who's coming next. But Cozzy Pickett, we both have at 4. Averages 100 across 14 games last year, where he had 60% or more CBAs. And that was his first year in that midfield, like really breaking out into that midfield. Now he's got a real full preseason under his belt, especially with Clayton Oliver and Petrarca leaving that midfield. It's left a massive hole in there. So really like Cozzy Pickett as an option through the forward line. 494k is great buying as well. So if you can try and get him early. Then we'll move to the top 3. I've got Flanders at 3. He's going to be the main centre bounce guy for St Kilda. And in 2024, he had 9 games of 40% or more CBAs, and he averaged 118 with that role. He just is a massive accumulator of the ball. That was obviously when he was at Gold Coast. Now he's moved to St Kilda. He is the main guy there. Jack Steele's gone. He's going to be racking up that pill with ease. Definitely wouldn't be scared off with the 77 in round 0. Anyone who thinks that is kidding themselves. He was around the ball and just didn't use it that well, which is fine. But yeah, he was the main centre bounce guy. Like we've seen it already in that round 0 game. You're buying the role. You're not trying to chase the scores. So yeah, really love the Flanders pick. Das has Petrarca at 3. I've got Petrarca at 2. If round 0 was anything to go by, we have to pick him. He could even finish as F1. I'm very hot on Flanders really pushing up and even, rivaling up against Petrarca and Sheasel, who we'll get to. But this is the order I landed with. Petrarca just looks unreal. It looks like we got the Petrarca of old, and he's worked on his kicking. It was a bit of a butcher of the ball in years gone past. So, yeah, I think it's just super easy to pick him now. The Gold Coast are going to be up that pointy end, which means there's more scores to go around for the Gold Coast players. So, just absolutely love this. He's not going to get affected with Rao coming back because Alex Davies had a lot of CBAs. It should just be a straight swap there. So you can sort of pick him to start the year with ease. And then, Das had Flanders at 2, so he swapped them around, which definitely leaves the fact that we both have Harry Sheasel at number 1. Just lock him in. He moved to the midfield last year, sort of permanently, and he showed that he can dominate there too. It is just a gift that you can pick him as a forward. I don't know how this has come about because I didn't think he spent that much time up forward, but yeah, his move into the midfield last year was just astronomical. You saw in that game where he racked up 54 possessions against Richmond for that 185 Supercoach. That's just his, he's just an accumulator of the ball. You just have to lock him away. Don't question it. He's a genuine captain option each week. There's a reason why he's owned by 75% of the competition, and we both see him finishing as F1. I do see Petrarca really pushing that if we're going to see this same role consistently for Petrarca, but Sheasel at the moment gets my pick just there. That's it for the rankings. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like, comment, follow along. Subscribe, everything like that. Lets us know that you are enjoying the content. And I'm keen to get stuck into the real stuff. SuperCoach season. I'm recording this on a Wednesday, so it starts tomorrow, but this should be out on the Thursday, so before the game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the SuperCoach season finally starting. It's been a long preseason, but good luck to everyone. Make sure, send us a message if you want us to have a look at your side. And you want any assistance, or you're tossing up between 2 players, just shoot us a message and hopefully we can guide you in the right direction. But thanks for that, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.